Kasipul constituency, slain member of parliament Charles Ongondo Were's body arrives in Kasipul ahead of his burial on Friday, May 9th. We are delighted to broadcast this bulletin for you tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Laura Omondi. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Let's get this show started. We kick it off from Rome, where white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel chimney on day 2 of the conclave, signaling that cardinal electors have come to a consensus and selected a new pope. Newly elected Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, now known as Pope Leo, appeared at the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican on Thursday. He is the 267th person to hold the role of Pope Prevost, and his bachelor's in mathematics from Villanova University in Pennsylvania, and went on to receive his diploma in theology from the Catholic Theological Union of Chicago. He was later sent to Rome to study canon law at the Pontifical St. Thomas Aquinas University and was ordained as a priest in June of 1982. Later on in his career, he taught canon law in the seminary in Trujillo, Peru. Pope Leo XIV outlined his vision for the Catholic Church as one that builds bridges and engages in conversation. Let's now listen into just what happened a few minutes ago in Vatican. Well, those were the live pictures taken just a few minutes ago from Vatican. One can almost feel the excitement right from your screen, as well as the weight of the office to which he is taking over. And, he's American, and the US President Donald Trump has congratulated Pope Leo on his election to head the Catholic Church. And he says, what an excitement, what a great honor to the country. He is looking forward to meeting Pope Leo, and he says it will be a very meaningful moment. So that has been, basically a culmination of the events that have been happening on Thursday in Vatican. 2 black smokes earlier on, which signaled that the cardinal had not selected a pope or had not agreed on the selection of a pope. And then one final time they tried again, and a white smoke billowed across Vatican. And then eventually Pope Leo was able to come out at the Vatican and just meet the people that had gathered there to witness this momentous time in history. He addressed the gathering, very few words, and of course this is something that will be taken into context in comparison to various popes that have held that office previously. And what a moment as well for the Catholic faithful. So we'll be keeping tabs with what happens in Vatican the next few days, what it will look like for Pope Leo, as well as some of the activities, or at least what he hopes will be his legacy as he takes office. Now, let's come back to the country, where also something momentous has taken center stage, where President William Ruto has nominated Erastus Edung Ethekon as the new chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Head of Public Service Felix Koskei made the announcement in a press release on Thursday evening after President Ruto had received the report of the IEBC selection panel this Tuesday. Subject to parliamentary approval, Ethekon, the former Turkana County attorney, is now set to replace the late former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati, who died in February this year. President Ruto also nominated 6 IEBC commissioners from various regions, among them Registrar of Political Parties Ann Nderitu from Nyandarua, Moses Alutalala Mukhwana from Kakamega, Mary Karen Sorobit from Uasin Gishu County, Hassan Nur Hassan from Mandera, Francis Odhiambo Adwol from Kisumu, and Fahima Arafat Abdallah from Lamu. Quite interesting nominations according to regions and what this communicates to persons from those regions. So what remains is the approval by Parliament. Once approved, gone through the vetting process, approved by Parliament, they will take oath of office and get right down to it. Now, let's look at what else is making headlines across the country, and we'll cross over to the floor of the Senate, where, you know, Kakamega Senator Boniface Khalwale had something to say about the recent agreement of leasing the Nzoia sugar factory. Now, the Kakamega Senator has led at the forefront in disputing the decision to lease the Nzoia sugar factory to Just One Try for 30 years, days after an agreement was reached. While at the Senate, Khalwale claimed the decision disadvantages the farmers and the people who depend on the company, and also questioned the integrity of Just One Try, who also took over the now fallen Webuye Pan paper. His remarks come hours after cane farmers protested the privatization, even blocking the Webuye Bungoma highway.
Mr. Speaker, the issue raised about public participation, I would like the government to know that the only public participation that took place over Nzoia was consulting the governor of Bungoma and the Speaker of the National Assembly. Consulting those two leaders does not amount to public participation over Nzoia Sugar Company. I refuse. I speak today for 1.8 million people of Bungoma who depend on Nzoia Sugar Company. Mr. Speaker, that these two leaders have accepted the factory to be leased to a guy called Rai, who took over Webuye Pan Paper Company. The company has been run down. The timber industry has collapsed. The same Rai, who upon seeing the success in Mumiasi, due to his brother Sarbi, has come there to try and take a section of that factory because he has the capacity to bribe people in government. We refuse again and again. The decision of leasing Nzoia should be rethought. Our people must participate. Our people have elected us. We have the capacity to understand issues.
President William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance, UDA, has been dealt a major political blow in Embu after its frontline coordinators staged a dramatic walkout, accusing the ruling party of betrayal, abandonment, and failed promises. In a fiery press briefing that had all the ingredients of a political rebellion, UDA National Executive Council member Joshua Kanake led a host of disillusioned grassroots leaders in declaring their divorce from the party they once passionately marketed in Embu County. The disgruntled leaders painted a picture of a party that has turned its back on its foot soldiers. They specifically took aim at UDA chairperson and Embu County Governor Cecil Mbarire, accusing her of locking out grassroots voices and running the party like a personal errand.
As we stand now, 3 years down the line, the people that we were fighting for cannot even take our cause. If we were to tell them that we have a meeting here to discuss the challenges of the party in Embu, they would send goons to come and chase us away. We spent our resources, financial and otherwise, moving around this county to sustain that number one. Today, we are still crying of the resources that we lost. So the question comes, 3 years down the line, do we still have any moral obligation to this party? And when we met as the coordinators, it was unanimous. We don't have.
You are Kenyan and you live in this country. It's true that Governor Balile was appointed by His Excellency the President as a chair of UNDA to lead the NEC. And that NEC, I want to say here, and my friends in the NEC, although I know they will not want to say it out because they are fearing the reprisals, it is actually not there. This is a one-man show. Just like in our county here, this county is a one-woman show. We have made several attempts. We have made several attempts to reach out to the governor, but she has no time for us. Just like she has no time for the people, even these leaders, she has no time for them, she has no respect for them, and therefore our stay in UDA is no longer tenable.
We wish to register our disappointment to the UDA party for giving a deaf ear, despite working for to build the party from scratch, from the grassroots. It is so unfortunate that despite all the work done, time used and resources used from the top officials to the grassroots officials, nobody gave an ear to us. We have tried engagements, but nobody has come to our aid. We have a very selfish government which has not listened to us, and that's why we came here and to register our disappointment.
The body of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Ongondo Were arrived in Homa Bay County ahead of his burial, scheduled for Friday at his home in Karabok, Central Kasipul. The arrival at Kabunde Airstrip marked an emotional moment as family members, colleagues and constituents gathered to receive the late lawmaker. Later tonight, an overnight vigil will be held at Were's Karabok home, where close family members and community members will gather in remembrance of his life and service. Were, who was gunned down on April 30th in what investigators suspect was a targeted assassination, was serving his second term as Kasipul MP.
I want to thank the people of Homa Bay for remaining very peaceful, for remaining very calm, for being very patient. And I want to request that tomorrow we have a duty to give our brother, Honorable Were, a good send-off, dignified. So we are calling on our people to remain peaceful, to remain patient. We have seen the investigations going on, and we want to just say that we allow the investigating agencies to conclude their investigations. And I've seen some people dragging others into it. As Governor of Homa Bay, I have no responsibility, I have no role on the investigations. All we are planning here is how to give our brother a good send-off. And I want to ask our people, let us remain peaceful. Let us give our brother a dignified send-off. Let us leave investigations to the investigating agencies. And they have made progress, which we appreciate. So that is our message. We will give our brother a dignified send-off and shame the devil.
I want to encourage the residents of Homa Bay that let us turn out in numbers to bid farewell to our fallen colleague, and I want to call for decorum, decency, discipline. This friend of ours died as a serving member of parliament, and we shall bury him as a serving member of parliament. May peace prevail today and tomorrow.
On the same breath, the JKIA law courts will on Friday rule on whether it will proceed with a miscellaneous application involving 5 suspects arrested in connection with the death of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Ongondo Were. This follows objections raised by the defense lawyers who challenged the court's jurisdiction. The defense argued that the miscellaneous application filed by the DCI seeking to detain the suspects for 30 days pending investigations should not be heard at the JKIA law courts. Instead, they maintain that the matter should be handled either at the Milimani law courts or the Kibera law courts.
Detectives reconstructed Honorable Were's movement from Parliament to the site of the shooting, generating the key leads that have helped identify potential suspects. The driver and the bodyguard were taken into custody to assist in the ongoing probe. On May 2, 2025, An autopsy was conducted at Lee Funeral Home by Dr. Johansen Oduor, Chief Government Pathologist, in the presence of the Director of Homicides Investigations, forensics experts, family members, the legal counsel, representatives from Parliament. The examinations revealed that the Honorable Were sustained 5 gunshot wounds, all entering the left side of his body. 2 bullets were recovered during the autopsy, and a third was found in the deceased's motor vehicle. These exhibits were submitted for ballistics analysis. Key evidence was recovered, including 2 firearms, a Little Falcon pistol, and a Sismas pistol, a bag, and a footwear matching the descriptions of items worn by one of the suspects at the crime scene. All the recovered items were submitted for forensic examinations. Furthermore, 2 more key suspects were arrested yesterday, bringing the number of suspects in custody to 10.
The Council of Governors is skeptical about the absorption of staff under the Universal Health Coverage Program in July. The doubts are caused by delays in the national government's disbursement of its allocations. The Council's Vice Chairperson and Nyeri County Governor Mutahi Kahiga, while opening the 3rd annual Mount Kenya Clinical Officers Conference, has revealed that only 16 out of 47 counties have received their March allocation, with Treasury not clear on when it will receive the February, March, April and May disbursements. Staff under the UHC programs are set to join the healthcare providers at county facilities under improved working conditions in less than under a month.
Jambo hili linatatiza ufanyikazi na wafanyikazi. Kwa sasa nimeona kama kaunti 3 madaktari wanataka kugoma juu hawajapata mshahara. Gavana hana njia yote ya kupata zile pesa za kuwalipa mshahara, kwa sababu zile fedha ambazo pengine tunachukua katika mabenki huwa zina riba kubwa. Serikali kuu ifanye kulingana na katiba, kufikia tarehe 10 fedha zote za county ziwe zimeachiliwa na kupelekwa katika county.
The UHC staff were employed with a certain figure which does not translate to the level of their entry job group. So basically what we are pushing for is to ensure that they are put at the right job group with the right salary as per the SRC guideline.
The government has launched the National Social Health Authority registration drive for inmates. The exercise shall be conducted countrywide in all prisons and probation centers in the spirit of leaving no one behind. The government will pay the premiums for prisoners through the State Department of Correctional Services. The registration drive, which also includes national identification, was launched at the Langata Women Prison in Nairobi. Present were Principal Secretaries for Medical Services, Dr. Ouma Oluga, Belio Kipsang, PS for Immigration and Citizen Services, Dr. Salome Biako of Correctional Services, and Dr. Aurelia Chepkiri Rono of Parliamentary Affairs. Also in attendance were the Commissioner General of Prisons, Patrick Mwiti Arandu, and Acting SHA CEO Robert Ingasira. Dr. Biako said it is important that every Kenyan registers for SHA so that no one is left behind.
We gather here this afternoon to affirm the principle that lies at the heart of any just society, that human dignity must never be compromised. Why is this? Because every human being made in the image and likeness of God is sacred, is a soul. From womb to tomb, every human being is sacred. And this includes every person, even those serving custodial sentences. They are entitled to healthcare, to compassion, and to opportunity for rehabilitation and reintegration. This principle is enshrined in the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for Treatment of Prisoners, commonly known as the Nelson Mandela Rules. These rules remind us that all prisoners shall be treated with respect due to their inherent dignity and value as human beings. prisoners should enjoy the same standards of healthcare that are available to the community. Ladies and gentlemen, since the initial rollout of SHA in November 2024, our officers have been working across the counties to register inmates into the universal healthcare system, which is one of the pillars of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda plan.
For us to be able to register with the SHA, the challenge that we are encountering at the moment is lack of inmates having identity cards. And we are glad that the PS immigration is here today. And we were taken through when we first came in, inmates getting the opportunity to get registered for those who do not have IDs, and for those who have lost their IDs, getting their identity cards being replaced. This is a noble position that the government has taken, and by having our PSs here today, tells you so much how important this SHA registration and replacement of IDs is important for the nation, but above all, taking note that even inmates are considered and given priority.
All right, allow us to pay some bills. We'll be back shortly with more news making headlines. That their children's names are correctly registered and the examinations are properly recorded. Combo also indicated that the exercise will continue until the 9th of this month, which is tomorrow, before the registration forms are returned back to headquarters in Nairobi.
Hivi tunavyoendelea kuzungumza, baraza hilo limeleta ile nominal roll, yani ile sajili ya wanafunzi ya kufanya mtihani wa grade 6 na grade 9, ili walimu wakishirikiana na wanafunzi na wazazi waweze kuhakikisha kuwa hayo majina ni sawasawa, mwaka wa kuzaliwa uko sawa, kila kitu ambacho wamesajili nacho wanahakikisha kupitia hiyo sajili kubwa ambayo wameleta mashuleni baada ya shule kusajili hawa watoto. Kwa hivyo nahimiza wazazi, nahimiza walimu, nahimiza wanafunzi wawe na makini ili baada ya mtihani usiwe na matatizo katika mambo ya majina, katika mambo ya miaka na kadhalika. Kwa hivyo Baraza Kuu la Mtihani Kenya limeweza kutoa nafasi mwafaka ili kila mwanafunzi, mzazi, walimu waweze kuhakikisha kuwa majina ya watoto wao hayakutokezea vibaya, hayakuharibika upande wa spellings na kadhalika.
President William Ruto at State House in Nairobi on Thursday awarded a charter to Uzima University in the company of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba, Kisumu Senate Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, and founder Archbishop Emeritus Zacchaeus Okoth. The president said the government is pursuing bold, creative and targeted reforms in the education sector to expand access, reform the curriculum, address funding challenges, improve infrastructure, and enhance the quality of training and research. Furthermore, Ruto said a strong education sector is essential for inclusive development and shared prosperity as they build necessary human capital and foster research and innovation.
The award of this charter aligns with our long-term goal of expanding access to quality university education. As a government, we recognize that our aspirations for inclusive development and equitable wealth creation are anchored in a strong education sector, which is essential for developing the required human capital and fostering research and innovation. This is why we pursued bold, creative, and targeted reforms in the education sector, aimed at expanding access, reforming curricula, addressing funding challenges, improving infrastructure, and enhancing the quality of teaching, learning, and research.
In 2023, Uzima University was awarded the most outstanding university of health sciences in Africa. And in 2024, Uzima University was again awarded the best private university in Africa. In November of the same year, 2024, the East African Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council came back to Uzima University to review and to carry out a technical inspection of the School of Medicine.
National regulator for university education in Kenya, we remain committed to working alongside Uzima University on this fundamental journey through continuous quality assurance, institutional support, and strategic engagement.
Kenya's ambassador to Belgium, Professor Bitange Ndemo, has been appointed the new University of Nairobi Vice-Chancellor. Professor Ndemo's appointment was confirmed by the UON Council, which announced that he would succeed acting Vice-Chancellor Professor Margaret Jesang Hutchinson after handing over his ambassadorial job. The Council, in a letter dated May 5th, however, appointed Professor Francis Jackie Mula as acting Vice-Chancellor for a 6-month period effective immediately, pending Professor Ndemo's return to the country. The Council said the move would help to avoid an administrative vacuum as Professor Ndemo hands over his duties in Brussels, Belgium, before returning to Kenya to assume his new role. And finally, police in Kakamega County are investigating the brutal killing of a DCI officer, Zebedayo Safari Mbakaya, who was hacked to death near his home in Lukusi Village, Matete constituency. The officer on leave from Gilgil had gone to watch a football match at his local bar, but never made it back home. His body, bearing deep machete wounds, was found around 11 p.m. just steps from his house. The family, devastated and demanding justice, is urging swift action, especially given the proximity of the crime to Matete police station.
Alienda kuona mpira, mimi akaniacha na shughuli zangu za kawaida, jioni kuprepare sapa nini hivyo na watoto. Kufikia masaa 5 kuangalia kwa simu, na mpaka saa hizi msaja ingia. Nini mbaya? Ndio nikapigiwa kijana mwenye anafanya kwa guest house, nikamuuliza bronya, baba yako bila alikuja huku mpaka saa hii ama wangali wanaona wanaocho mpira? Akasema hapana, baba alikuja huko kitambo sana. Bila nilisikia tu alikuja huko kitambo na nikashtuka sana, nikachukua torch, nikatoka na mlango ya mbele hii, nikaanza kumulika, nikienda upande huko kwa maduka. Bila nilimulika tu hapa, nikaona mzee wangu amelala hapo chini.
Police officer by the name Sindekaya aliuliwa upande ya Matete kwa mboma yake akiwa anatoka kuona mpira. Tumefanikiwa kupata one suspect ambaye ako in police custody, anatusaidia na uchunguzi, na tutaongea sana sababu the case is still very fresh. Ile kitu ningeambia wananchi wa hiyo area waweke amani na utulivu. Polisi wanaendelea na hiyo case, na kama iko mtu yote ambaye ako na any information ambayo inaweza saidia polisi zaidi, aende Matete kwa DCI apeane hiyo information. Otherwise, tukimaliza uchunguzi tutaongea zaidi.
Na ninaomba ya kwamba tamu ambayo ulimwaka Safari, watu ambao walitenda hicho kitendo wakasema ya kwamba hawatajulikana, naomba damu uliyomwaka iweze kuwafuata na waweze kujulikana. Tumesikitika sana kama uko, kwa sababu tumempoteza kijana ambaye tulitegemea.
What a tragic end to the DCI officer's life, and we hope the authorities will be quickly and swiftly investigating that matter. Well, that wraps our broadcast tonight. Thank you for watching. I hope you're up to speed on what is making headlines across the country. My name is Cynthia Nanjala, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Laura Omondi, who wish you a blessed night ahead.